Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing some quick little love notes from your person. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and there are 4 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the orange calcite. Group 2 is the fluorite. Group 3 is the rose quartz. And group 4 is the celestite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection, and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. Hi, Group 1. You chose the orange calcite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know right now? Okay, and they say, I am learning to live life better through you. So you are an inspiration to this person. If this is somebody that is currently in your life, that you're currently in a relationship with, maybe you've just started dating one another, or even like a crush situation, or even somebody from the past that you're in no contact with, they are looking to you as a source of courage, strength, joy. You are actively teaching them how to love you, how to lean more deeply into love within themselves. This is somebody who is studying you, who is taking cues from you. If you're dealing with them currently, it feels like they are almost navigating how much they give to you based on subtle things that you're saying, as far as like boundaries that you have, words like self-talk, ways that you respond to criticism and challenges. They're kind of like calculating and evaluating, kind of like, what do you need? This may be somebody who's afraid of kind of like coming on too strong, not wanting to show you too much of their personal darkness, and sort of like scare you away or trouble you. They may identify you as somebody who's kind of like an empath or a healer, a fixer in some manner, and there's a lot of emphasis here on not wanting to present themselves as kind of a project in need of solving, or somebody in need of kind of like saving or helping. They're wanting to really kind of like put their best foot forward. And so there may be a lot that they are holding back from you, or that they, again, through kind of like studying and almost like calibrating to the vibration that you put out, or maybe even things that you incorporate in your life as far as like wellness, self-love, self-healing. It's inspiring this individual to start to incorporate some of these things, experiment with these things, expand their mind in some way in terms of what's possible for how they kind of like view themselves and hold their own energy. If this is somebody that's a no contact situation, it feels that, again, they don't want to sort of reemerge as kind of like this work in progress, where you might feel the need to kind of swoop in and then save them, or pick up the pieces for them, clean up after them, as may have been the case in the past. But there's this effort here, there's this emphasis on really wanting to solve a lot of their problems themselves, to present a a different and better version of themselves to you than they had shown in the past. So that can account for kind of like a continued silence between you. If it's somebody from the past, no contact, it feels like maybe just kind of like fly on the wall sort of energy, kind of like watching quietly from the shadows, maybe watching your social media. If it's a public profile, that should be pretty easy to do. If it's a private profile, they may be, kind of like asking about you through friends, or there's somebody who kind of reports back to them. They may be following you from a fake profile even. Or if none of that is possible, you don't have social media, or, you've got it kind of, you got your garden weeded sufficiently to where you sort of like know where everybody stands in terms of that has access to you. This can even just be something where a person from the past is like feeling into you energetically, that there still is some kind of like a cord that tethers the two of you, that is helping them to kind of like adjust vibrationally, sort of like they're moving as you move in different kind of ways. And this may have been something that they almost struggled with in the past, but at this point in time, they're leaning more into the energy of being open to kind of like learn and change and evolve and grow in tandem with and inspired by you because of you. They also say, thank you for being patient. I know it isn't easy. So if this is someone who's been holding back from revealing their feelings, diving more deeply in with you, committing, taking things to the next level, this again really confirms that energy of calibration. They're really wanting to make sure that they put the best foot forward. This can be somebody who is still sort of nursing some wounds of heartbreak or disappointment from the past, not wanting to inflict these things upon you. If this is a no contact situation, again, not wanting to come back in and create more chaos, confusion, or turmoil. And so willfully holding themselves back from re-emerging until they are kind of pushed fully out of the cocoon of actualization into this better version of self, either, in tandem with sort of the way you've been elevating your vibration, you've been healing, you've been growing, you've been ascending, or even for some of you, what they are able to see and witness as far as a glow up within you, something that you talk about, that you're public about. Maybe you have some kind of online presence, you've got a channel, you got a blog, you post information about these things. Or if that's not the case, this can even just be something energetically that they're sensing about you that's causing them to want to mimic that it's like a work in progress, that they may have been really sort of like battling or fighting their ego, kind of clinging to this wounded aspect of self. And it's this arduous process of kind of creating that balance within, letting go of that identity or that version of even like kind of the wounded healer, the wounded warrior kind of energy, and stepping into this place of wholeness where they are confident and courageous enough to sort of step forth and imagine and create a new beginning. That energy can apply to somebody, again, you're currently dealing with someone from the past, definitely some wounds that are needing to be like cauterized and healed, that this person, regardless of kind of their proximity to you in your life, is looking to you as kind of the example of sort of like, teach me how to do this, how to move like you do, no matter how much or little they know about your backstory or your history or a part of that kind of heartbreak and that process of needing to heal and transcend. They sense this within you vibrationally, that you've been through some things, you picked yourself back up, you put yourself back together at least once, and it's something that they really feel that they can learn and grow and evolve by. And it really, whether it's person from the past or current person, it speaks to this energy of placing a lot of priority on this connection, making sure that they are not coming to you with too many sort of like jagged edges, trying to smooth these things out, so that you can move forth with one another into whatever might unfold with as little turbulence coming from their end as possible. They also say this connection scares me sometimes because it is so intense. So that can be a confirmation if you're dealing with someone who has run from this connection. You have mirrored to this person, whether this is new person or person from the past, both the wounds within them that are in need of healing and also the potential of changing those things, both the best and the worst of what they hold within or what they perceive within themselves. So this can also tie into the idea of patience, a slow process. If this is somebody that you're currently dealing with, it feels that it's taking a lot of effort on their part not to just run away from this situation. Most importantly, to run from something within themselves that is very fearful of being hurt again in love. This might be why they're, taking their time. They may have kind of friend zoned you, or they're just kind of moving at a molasses pace, almost like Knight of Pentacles on slow-mo, just kind of things should have evolved a lot faster at this point in time. But it doesn't feel to be almost for like a lack of interest or sort of like wishy-washy energy. This is somebody who's like actively trying to peel themselves beyond some sort of state of woundedness in order to present a different version of you than they have shown up as in relationships previously, and that they have been kind of like working to heal and sort of move beyond within themselves. So definitely something that is a very activating situation, whether this is new or old person. The effect of kind of connecting with you, maybe just something about your energy or the nature of the dynamic between the two of you, has definitely sparked and instigated not just the possibility of opening the doors of romance with somebody, but, you know, kind of with that is this growth and evolution on a personal and an energetic level. They also say, I think of you every day. That is how much I love you. So person from the past, definitely still fixated on you, most likely watching you, energetically tapping in. Person that you're dealing with currently, also very fixated on you, watching you, most likely tapping in energetically. You know, this kind of slow pace, this sort of molasses pace, this is not for a lack of interest. You have this individual's focus, whoever this is, whatever that dynamic applies to, and they're learning a lot, and it almost feels that they don't feel that it would be right, or maybe they think it would be weird, or they don't know how to say, like, teach me how to love, teach me how to do what you do, how to move through the world in the way that you move through the world. It almost feels like something that they're too modest to say, or again, they don't know how to put the words to that, or it just doesn't feel appropriate for the situation, because they're wanting to present more of themselves to you from this courageous and this place of like wholeness within themselves. So they're just observing, kind of like learning, calculating, and sort of like recalibrating themselves vibrationally. You're giving this person a lot of like strength and encouragement to really, again, sort of disconnect from a state of almost being a work in progress or some kind of wounds that they've been holding within. You represent an incentive in a lot of ways for them to, you know, continue on this process of like healing and transformation and ascension. And it's taking a lot longer than they thought it would, or that they would have liked. There is definitely a sense of urgency on their part. So if you are feeling impatient, or you're kind of looking at the situation like, when are they going to come back around? When are they going to make a move? When are they going to open up more to this connection? That is acutely felt by this individual as well. They're perceiving that impatience from you, and kind of back to that reference of, you know, thank you for being patient. It's kind of like, just give me a little more time. I know that your patience is running thin. You know, I know that you have these standards and this energy of self-love, and you're not going to wait around forever. And this also feels to be kind of like the fire under them that is encouraging them to, you know, be very proactive, even if they're moving slowly, to, you know, continue to kind of like put one foot in front of the other, to stepping into that next version of self, that version of them that can match you or be more adequately balanced with the vibration that you're holding and kind of what you've built for yourself at this point as well. And they also say, I want to be honest with you so that we can be open with each other. So feelings that they want to confess. Person from the past wants to let you know that you have made a major impact upon them. If they have run, it is due to the intensity of what was triggered, wounds within themselves, a very necessary period of separation. For a lot of you, they're wanting to let you know about the things that they have released, that they have healed from, that they've transformed, but it's still a work in progress. So they're holding back so that they can bring forth to you proof and evidence, rather than kind of like promises and the intentions of change. If this is someone you're dealing with currently, again, they do want to move the connection forth to the next level, but it's very challenging for them at this point in time. It feels like to move beyond a sense of almost just being on this precipice of trying to say, I'm ready for love, I'm ready for connection, I'm ready for a new experience. And now that that has shown up, they're still kind of clinging to that intention that they were putting out, maybe as a result of something that hadn't worked for them, that they had needed to move beyond, and they were operating and kind of like living in that space of, I'm ready to receive, but then the blessing shows up and they're still just repeating that, like, I'm ready to receive, and not quite at that place of being capable of kind of releasing that identity and stepping fully into, you know, the understanding and the acceptance that that wish fulfillment, it's not something far off in the horizon, but it is very present in their reality. And so kind of that challenge, or that aspect to sort of grow and evolve with the change that has occurred by intersecting with you. They also say, I really don't know how to approach you, so that's why it's taking me some time. So whether this is a current person or someone from your past, they do hold you in high regard, maybe even a bit of putting you on a pedestal, a bit intimidated by your strength. Maybe if they know your backstory or were part of that backstory, they know how shattered you were, the way you had to pick your pieces up. They are seeing you in a new light, or again, are very aware of kind of what that trail of tears was in the past. There's an energy of kind of like fearing, are you going to accept them? Are you going to reject them? Do they still have a chance? Can they earn back your trust? Is there a place in your life for them? If this is somebody, that you're dealing with currently, again, they're very inspired by you. You inspire them to change, but at the same time, there's kind of this questioning and this intimidation, like as they consider themselves to be a work in progress, and they're kind of like putting you on that pedestal. Do they have what it takes? Are they, sufficiently and at their core level a good match for you, the kind of person you would want in your life? Or is this something where maybe you'd be kind and would just take pity on them, or outright reject them in some manner if they were to be more vulnerable with you, share those fears, share those hesitations, share some of the experiences of their past that had made them kind of just like hesitate at that brink of taking steps forth. So there's a yearning, there's a wanting to develop this and to explore this, but also kind of that woundedness or a bit of sort of like fear and insecurity is holding this individual back from just running forth or pouring forth more profoundly into this connection at this time. And they also say, I still remember every detail of your face. So they may be looking back over, photographs, memories, recalling conversations that the two of you had with one another. If this is somebody from the past, if this is somebody currently that you're dealing with, that same energy applies. Every experience that they have with you, they think back, they analyze these details, the way that your smile is, how your energy shines, and it's something that is just, it's pulling them forth on a vibrational level to emulate that, to create and generate that frequency within themselves to be able to match you in that way as well. They also say, I regret speaking those words. So if they had fumbled the ball at some point, rejected a cup of love that you had to offer, if this is like person from the past that has run from you, they are sitting in an energy of regret. It was a wrong choice that was made, something very impulsively, maybe kind of like the wounded animal lashing out in some manner. And hindsight's 2020, they definitely have had a time to reflect, a time to see you in a different light. And this can be kind of that energy of why they're holding back. They're not sure what they'll encounter, if it's possible to even sort of create peace over what happened previously. And if this is somebody you're currently dealing with, this may be something where you had almost, kind of given those signals or extended that you were like interested in them. The ball was in their court to like evolve the situation in some manner, and they hesitated or they were very fearful, or they didn't fully, express in a way how much they appreciate you. Maybe they are something that happened where it was just, you felt like, okay, well, do they only like me as a friend? What's the point of all of this? And you've kind of detached yourself. There's a lot of regret at not speaking to you in more of a loving manner. And as much as there's this need to kind of like hold back from diving all in, there is a sense of them feeling they should have done more to convey to you the interest that they have, convey some of these fears as well, so that it didn't just like give you the impression that they were not interested. They're almost feeling that this woundedness within themselves has created unnecessary setbacks in this situation. And they also say, I messed up big time. So confirmation of that, something that was like a missed opportunity, something where, words that were spoken came out wrong. They made you feel friend zoned, or, made you feel like they were just kind of fine with everything, sort of stagnated at whatever the place is, that they didn't have, intentions for the future, that this was kind of like all there is to experience in this situation, or that their priorities were elsewhere. There's a sense of you two should be further along in your journey with one another by this point in time. Also, if this was person from the past, this ties into the words, regretting those, or regretting the actions of running, kind of allowing fear to pivot them away from this opportunity of healing and profound love that is possible in the connection with you. They've been sitting in the energy of regret, kind of watching from the sidelines, doing the transformational work that they need to do. Slowly but surely, this is somebody who's kind of tapping into your vibration and trying to raise their own so that they have something to bring forth to you that might be able to create measurable change or evolve the connection to the next level. So I'm going to get some initials. So this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got G, L, H, J, A, X, I, B, Y, E, and C. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick a cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Fluorite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know right now? Okay, and they say, we will be together again. So if this is somebody from your past that you're in a no contact situation with, they are contemplating reconciliation, making those plans and preparations, very much having shifted the focus from what has happened in the past to forward thinking, making plans for the future, trying to find ways to course correct in the situation. If this is somebody you're currently dealing with, this can really talk about this excitement that they get at the thought of seeing you again. They want to spend more time with you, to get closer, more togetherness, wanting to share and open up with you more, so that the bond between you can deepen, can grow. So if you were questioning if this person is thinking of you in just immediate terms or in a long-term sense, this can definitely be that confirmation of wanting to build, wanting to experience more, wanting to explore more with you in this connection and for a longer duration of time than just the very immediate moments. They also say, I really love the way you make me feel inside. So current person is again kind of on cloud nine when they are with you. The idea of seeing you, and they know they're going to run into you if you are coworkers. Maybe you go to school with one another. Is this somebody in your neighborhood, somebody you see out and about, somebody you've just started dating? There's a sense of elation at the idea of spending more time with you, wanting to expand kind of the environments you're in, the variety of your interactions with one another, wanting to dive more deeply into topics of conversation, to get to know one another. They feel very safe and very seen in your presence. You bring a lot of wisdom and inspiration to them. They're very engaged and fulfilled by the time that you spend with one another. It's time well spent as opposed to time wasted. And if this is somebody from your past, this is really tying into the energy of they still have an electric feeling for you. Thoughts of you still do something to this person in a very positive manner. And if this has been kind of a long-standing no contact situation, this may be something that is kind of puzzling to them. Why do they still feel so deeply for you after so much time, after so much silence? Certainly by now those feelings should have ebbed down a bit. That fire within should have been extinguished. And the fact that it hasn't has really, time has served this connection well. It has helped this individual to see that this situation is worth exploring, repairing the situation, making the effort to repair that bridge between the two of you, to forge a new path in your direction. It is a worthwhile pursuit because the kind of the energies and the flow in this situation, it's unlike what they've known in connections that they may have walked away from in their past. You still hold a very precious place within themselves and are very much a focus of sort of their forward plans, their future thinking. And they also say, thank you for being patient. I know it isn't easy. So if this is someone new that you're dealing with and they may be just trying to really get to know you, they may be drawing out the kind of like establishing the friendship element to this situation before confessing deeper feelings, really taking their time with this, savoring this, wanting to make sure that everybody's moving at a pace which is comfortable. Definitely somebody who is very kind of like mindful of their past missteps in love, wanting to move correctly in this situation, valuing the experiences with you and wanting to really cherish that and wanting to savor that. And so they're very grateful for you for kind of moving along with that, not putting pressure on them. Even if these are like unspoken boundaries or, things that you haven't necessarily outwardly talked about, there's a sense of the two of you just being very in sync with the pace of the connection unfolding, and they're very grateful for that. If this is somebody from the past, again, this may be a long-term no contact situation, and they are expressing a lot of gratitude for the time and space you have allowed them. If this was a runner-chaser situation at one point, it feels a lot of you have detached from that and you've redirected that focus within and kind of on a different future horizon for yourself in other ways. This has gifted this individual the time and space necessary to really come back to self, to really feel deeply into their own personal truth, to come to these conclusions on their own, and to recognize that these feelings are unlike what they've experienced in other types of partnerships. The energetic bond between the two of you transcends what they've known about in love and partnerships. As intense as that might have been, as triggering as that might have been, this has not been time wasted. A lot of these changes may be taking place very quietly, internally. They may be trying to just sort of present outwardly this mask of being very satisfied in the status quo, very happy with where their life is at, very unbothered by the separation. But internally, it's a very different story. A lot of chaos and turmoil, it feels like, has really given way for a lot of people to this energy of being at peace with kind of the missteps of the past. And now the focus is on kind of like, how can this be repaired? How can I become better so that I can do better in this situation? And there's a lot of gratitude towards you for allowing them to very organically come to this place within their own personal journey of evolution. And they also say, I'm sorry, it's taking me so long. Please be patient with me. So again, person from the past is really emphasizing that this time and space you have allowed them has been a gift. They have not been squandering this. This may be somebody who is very stubborn, very slow to change, very fixed in their ways. So this double reference to patience is that it's taking a lot longer than it should have. This is someone who may have wanted to reach out to you for quite some time, but they're still in this process of kind of like figuring out their emotions, maybe learning ways to talk about their emotions. If this is a very kind of logical and practical person, matters of the heart, expressing vulnerability and fear may be very uncomfortable for them. They don't know what to say in order to not just repeat the cycles of the past, but to transcend these in a lot of ways. This double reference to patience is also really bringing to mind the energy of temperance in the tarot. So they're wanting to bring forth something that establishes peace, a peace offering. They want to make sure that they are in a vibration that is trustworthy, so that your hesitation, your kind of reservations about letting them back in are not so easily triggered, that their energy, their vibration will almost speak for itself, that they can come towards you calmly and be willing to have those difficult conversations that might be necessary in order to transcend the difficulties you've had in the past. If this is a new person, this is really talking about, again, they're wanting to savor all of this. They don't just want this to be kind of a quick burning connection. They are seeing this situation and seeing you as having a lot of long-term potential. This is long haul. This is kind of like, we have all the time in the world. I want you around in my life for a long time to come. So they almost might be moving too carefully in order to not repeat mistakes of their past. This may be somebody who's very mindful of sort of their own tendencies, maybe toward codependency, maybe to be a bit emotionally aloof in some manner. They too are learning the language of the heart, how to even put to words these feelings, not wanting to dump too much on you, overwhelm you, come on too strong, but trying to remain cool, calm, and collected in a way that almost might be a bit exaggerated at this point in time, to where this could be, realistically, they're sort of just taking a really long time to evolve in this situation, to respond to the cues that you've given, or to take the initiative. Or this can even just be sort of an energy of like pressure upon themselves. They're second guessing this instinct or this inclination or this effort that they are making to show up differently in this situation, to really try to do things right in this situation, unlike mistakes of the past. So it feels like they may have gone through a profound kind of like healing journey and have really learned. They've gained wisdom from things that fell apart in their romances, historically speaking. But this might be sort of new territory. They're not exactly confident in this approach. Is this what is necessary in order to create sustainable connection? So new territory, outside of the box for this person, stepping forth into the unknown, approaching you differently, responding to you differently than they may have done in their own personal past. And it's this energy of wanting both of you to feel very comfortable with the pace at which things are evolving. So a lot of respect that this person has for you. And again, a lot of long-term potential that they're seeing. They're not wanting to overwhelm or kind of submerge the connection in too much emotion too quickly. And they also say, I'm afraid to open up to you. I don't want to get hurt. So confirmation there for new person that may have come out of a chapter of difficulties, heartbreaks, wounds that they've had to heal within themselves. They may be somebody who in the past has a tendency to kind of wear their heart on their sleeve, who may have been very disappointed in love. And they're trying not to allow those disappointments to kind of jade them or to in some way cloud or interfere with the connection with you. So they're really taking their time. They are acknowledging though that they want to move at a quicker pace. Whatever they've demonstrated to you at this point in time, it is a mere fraction of what they're feeling, of what they're envisioning, of what they would like to experience with you. And again, that double energy of patience, that they are opening up, but it's just, slowly than you might like, or even that they are kind of second guessing themselves and kind of self-critic almost, like you should be going faster. What are you wasting your time about? So a bit of kind of like fear and shadow that they're still needing to sort of navigate through as they push themselves further and further outside of their comfort zone and in the direction of this connection. This can also, again, apply to the energy of the person from the past who may be really regretting their conduct. It may have been a very messy breakup. They could have even just ghosted and blocked you. That double patience, there could have been just a lot of radio silence here. And there's a fear there as far as, is it too little too late? What are you going to respond to them with? Are you going to ignore them? Are you going to lash out at them? Kind of, they don't know what to think. They don't know what to feel. There's a lot of guilt and shame over how they responded or reacted rather to this situation in the past. But they are in this energy of trying to focus on future plans, trying to find a way forward, trying to almost work their way out of this kind of like knot of fear and uncertainty that is holding them back at this point in time in order to make communication with you. They also say, I miss your touch. So they're missing the intimacy, the closeness that you once shared if this is the person from the past. Wanting to come back towards that, wanting to return home, wanting to initiate those lines of contact, get in touch with you, come to a kind of a meeting of the minds between the two of you so that you can reach the place of compromise, the clean slate, in order to build beyond whatever has happened in the past in the direction of a more prosperous future. If this is somebody that you're currently dealing with, this again ties into the idea of, they really enjoy the time that they spend with you. They want to get to know you more. They want to spend more time with you, expand the bounds and the definition of your connection, your interactions with one another. They may be on the brink of kind of like reaching out to you, trying to take the connection further, wanting to be in touch with you more, but also not wanting to overwhelm you in some way, trying to give you your space, trying to take the space that they need in order to work through their own fears. And it feels like a bit of a struggle. There's a lot of second guessing here as far as if they're doing things right. Are they complicating matters? Are they overcomplicating matters? Are they giving the wrong impression? So kind of this inner turmoil, they may kind of come off as very nervous even at times when they're talking to you or when they're around you in some manner, and it's really reflective of this feeling of like not wanting to mess things up in this situation with you. And they also say it's hard to express my feelings, so that can definitely apply to person from the past or current person that you're dealing with. Both of these individuals, maybe you're dealing with two people and this is a situation that applies to both, could be very logical individuals, very kind of like materially based, matters of the heart, feelings. These are not things they readily talk about, especially fears. This could definitely be something that they're very scared to show that side of themselves, to open up in that vulnerable manner, and yet they're seeing it as like a threshold that must be crossed in some way in order to deepen the bond between the two of you. So this can also be somebody, whether this is current person or person from the past, who is kind of taking their time because they're trying to learn some new tools of self-expression, seeking to understand maybe tendencies within them to be kind of an emotionally avoidant person in some manner, to shut down or withdraw when they are feeling stressed or pressured. Someone who may have kind of an anxious attachment style, maybe very clingy or needy or codependent, and they've tried to really curb or negate this within themselves, and what that's resulting in is almost a deliberate holding back on their part so that they're not kind of swamping you with all of this just kind of desire and this place within them that they are hoping your energy and your presence will fill, wanting to come to you in kind of this energy of sovereignty rather than as kind of like need, so that the two of you can move forth equitably into a future with one another rather than having something be very lopsided or one-sided. They also say it was my fault. I am to blame. So person from the past is starting to take personal responsibility, starting to really look in the mirror and to recognize what may have been so triggering in this situation before, or mistakes that they had made in connections that reared their ugly head in this situation as well. It may be a very slow process, a very difficult process of letting go of preconceived notions, beliefs, and ideas, a tendency to project blame or to avoid responsibility in some manner. They have turned a corner as far as that goes internally, and again they're looking toward the future, toward repairing the situation, but it's that crucial element of kind of taking that internal realization, crystallizing that out into material action or like contact communication. That's where things get a bit fuzzy. That's where it's kind of that sticky area of kind of extracting themselves from maybe what has been long-standing patterns within them to just kind of shrek off responsibility and move from a very wounded place. But efforts are being made within to course correct so they can show up towards you in a different kind of energy. If this is someone currently you're dealing with, again, they may be sort of like trying not to repeat the mistakes they perceive they have made in other romances in the past, wanting to do things right, doing things, taking things very slowly in this connection, so to not bombard you or overwhelm you with sort of their fears, not wanting to come on too strong. If there was some kind of missed opportunity or a sense that they feel that they've left you hanging in some way, a sense of pressure, or maybe just this actual tangible energy, this reality that it's taking a lot longer than it should have to evolve things, that they're kind of like hesitating. They're not taking those cues or responding to those things or making any kind of like action or effort to evolve the situation between the two of you. They're, really taking that upon their shoulders. This really has to do something with them, not wanting to get hurt again, not wanting to kind of inflict too much of themselves, these shadowy aspects of themselves upon you in this situation, not wanting to overwhelm the connection, overwhelm you, and so kind of deliberately holding back, not because of anything wrong with you, but almost this tendency they recognize within themselves, or just as kind of the best strategy they can come up with is sort of self-restraint and holding back while they're trying to kind of figure out what went wrong in previous relationships, how to do something different and create different results in this circumstance. They also say, I messed up big time. So again, person from the past is accepting a lot of blame. They're taking a lot of this responsibility on their shoulders. This is an internal process at this point in time, but they may be in the process of coming up with some kind of an apology, trying to mend that bridge between the two of you, bring forth the long-awaited conversation, the apology, trying to create that place of balance and courage within themselves where they're willing to touch on these difficult subjects in order to kind of recapture the potential in this situation and move toward a better future. If this is somebody currently that you're dealing with, again, the same idea of that there have been various windows of opportunity up to this point in time in this connection, that they should have spoken their truth a lot sooner. They should have told you more about their fears or what they were feeling, that whatever they've conveyed or presented to you, this is just the tip of the iceberg for what they hold within. So again, also somebody who's very much forward thinking, but just kind of tiptoeing into the next layer and level of what they want to develop with you. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got E, P, G, W, H, Y, L, Z, Q, U, and K. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick a cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Rose Quartz. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know right now? Okay, and they say, thank you for being patient. I know it isn't easy. So if this is a new person that you're dealing with, they could be very hesitant to take the next step. Maybe this is a crush situation, a lot of palpable chemistry between the two of you, and you've been expecting them to make the first move. Maybe you've dropped hints and suggestions and they've just pretended not to notice or kind of played these things off. If it's somebody that you're currently dating, again, this idea of like evolving the connection in some way, it may feel that it should have evolved quicker by now. You should be kind of at the next stage, the next level. There's a bit of hesitation on their part, a bit of fear, a bit of intimidation about you, something about your energy or who you are, a bit of putting you upon a pedestal that is causing them to kind of doubt themselves. It's triggering a lot of insecurities. That might be very unusual for this individual who might ordinarily be very confident. And so kind of some challenges here that is encouraging personal growth to step beyond these fears in the interest of following that heart in the direction of exploring the possibilities of what the two of you could develop into. If this is a no contact situation, somebody from your past, this is again kind of talking about this slow process of them working through whatever difficulties you faced before, maybe some personal challenges within themselves, within their life, something that may have triggered them or kind of spooked them about you and the connection, and they ran the other way, have just kind of left you hanging. Maybe this has been like a long-standing no contact situation, and as much as you may be getting very tired of waiting, you may have even detached and sort of directed your focus toward other things, open your heart to the possibility of love with someone else. Maybe you started dating other people. Nevertheless, this person from the past, it feels like they're changing, but it's a very slow process of evolution. They are acknowledging that the two of you should be further along your journey. They should have reached out and tried to make amends long ago, but this time apart, this time even just with them sitting in a very stubborn energy, needing to feel you energetically detaching from them, which may have really clued them in to start to do the work within without sort of feeling that pressure of your gaze fixed upon them. You kind of like being very impatient or very sort of attached to outcomes and timelines. It feels that that's almost been like an energetic breath of fresh air that they're very grateful for, because now they can finally, in their own time and very organically, start to go within and sort of peel back those layers of, what has frightened them so much of the, nature of love that was offered to them in the past and on some level still exists for them through this dynamic. They also say, I want the whole world to know that I am with you. So if this is somebody that you are currently dealing with, they definitely want to go public with this relationship. They want to enter into a partnership with you, evolve things to the next level. They want to show you off to friends and family. They feel very proud to be by your side. They admire you a lot. You represent wish fulfillment for them on a lot of levels. They feel a lot of deep compatibility. There's duration to this. They are not sort of like taking their time and hesitating because they're uncertain. It's again like an energy of overwhelm in some manner. But they are looking at this as a connection, these feelings, as wanting to explore the long-term potential of what that can develop into, seeing you as relationship material, or this relationship as worth salvaging and taking to the next level. So maybe this is meeting friends, meeting parents, making that status announcement on social media, just whatever that looks like. This is definitely something that they're contemplating, they're thinking about. They may even be a bit nervous about sort of proposing this to you, which is causing them to sort of withdraw. And it may be then leaning into this idea of thanking you for your patience, for allowing them to very organically grow into this place where they are able and willing to articulate a desire to move things to the next level with you. If this is somebody that you're dealing with from your past, this can again be sort of the energy of wanting to course correct, move back in your direction. If they had hidden the connection, kind of put you on the back burner, had just been sort of like breadcrumbing you in some manner, this can indicate that there's been like a change in that direction. There has been some kind of insight that that was not the best way to handle this situation, that was very unfair for you. This can talk about sort of this idea of like going public is bringing forth very outwardly, not just through suggestion or innuendo, but a direct conversation, maybe a face-to-face discussion, a heart-to-heart discussion, of the fears, the mistakes of the past, the feelings that they still have for you, which may be a very slow process to kind of like fight their ego and whatever had propelled them away from the situation in the past. Whatever difficulties you had faced, it's almost like a mountain of challenges that they must move beyond in order to come to this place where they are able to express very openly and very honestly the truth of what they have felt for you for quite some time and what still lingers within them despite the distance and separation. And they also say you and I will always meet somewhere in between. So a lot of dreams that may be happening, a lot of contact in the astral realm, whether this is somebody current you're dealing with, somebody from the past, they almost are like reaching out energetically to you, again, current or past person, making that effort to remain in your presence, to remain energetically attached to you, sensing the void, feeling your absence when you are apart from one another. There's an energy here of like meeting of the minds. So again, person from the past wanting to come forth, working to that place where they are able to bring you truth and honesty, a restorative energy to clear the air, to really speak some personal truth, give you that apology that may be long owed, have that discussion about intentions for the connection, actions that they plan to take, and what the future between the two of you can look like. If this is the current person that you're watching this reading for, then again, meeting of the minds, logistics that may need to be worked out. This could be a long distance connection. So, travel arrangements, relocation, all of these different things may be a factor that is kind of causing a little bit of hesitation on their part. How is this situation meant to work out? Maybe it's even the perception of the two of you being from two different worlds, two different cultures, two different religions, an age gap, social class, just whatever that looks like. It's almost like this focus on the details, the outside circumstances are causing them to hold back from like this full revelation of these feelings. They're wanting to move towards you, and something at the heart level is urging them in that direction. But then there's all this kind of minutia that they get lost in, all of these details of sort of like, how would this work? How would we actually, beyond that point of love wins and we get together with one another, what's that going to look like beyond that point in terms of practical matters, in terms of like geographic matters, logistics, in terms of, friends and family who may disapprove of the connection, not understand it, question it in some manner. All of these reservations may have held them back up to this point in time, and it feels to be something where they're kind of trying to puzzle their way through that before they can bring forth that truth to you. Someone who wants to have a plan in action, or at least, sort of like identify their responses to these inevitable kind of like topics and aspects that are needing to be discussed in order for the two of you to, cement down into material reality this yearning and this connection and this longing that they have for you in the energetic and kind of like higher planes. And they also say, I just need some space and time. Please don't take this personally. I love you. So again, there may be logistics that are a factor here, difficult conversations, other connections that may need to be cut off for some of you. There could be third parties involved. It's not just so easy as to leap forth in the direction of where their heart is calling them. All of these things in the silence or, in the hesitation, even if this is someone you're currently dealing with, all of these things are kind of like bubbling beneath the surface. They're ruminating a lot. This is definitely an energy of like a lot of mental energy surrounding this situation, this connection, past or present. Wanting to make sure that, opening those doors of love, having that conversation, making that commitment, reaching out, re-emerging in your life, whatever that looks like, that it's sustainable for the long term. If this is something where it's a no contact situation, they are not wanting to introduce more chaos and confusion into your life. So this is someone who will continue to remain at a distance until they almost unstick themselves from the prohibitions that may have been factors that kind of cause them to detach from you in the first place, move away from this connection in the first place. If this is somebody you're currently dealing with, again, that idea of needing to kind of figure things out, detach from fear of what other people will think, maybe even just fear of giving in to these intense feelings. If there's no other kind of like obstacles or barriers standing in the way, evolving the situation to the next level, maybe opening up, saying I love you even for the first time. That could be right on the tip of their tongue. tongue, and yet they're a bit hesitant to kind of like open those floodgates, knowing that once that door is open, it propels the situation to a next level, wanting to make sure that it happens in a time and manner that is suitable for the connection and that they themselves are ready for. Definitely they're putting you on a pedestal. They admire you. They admire your energy. They see a lot of potential in terms of what you can develop into in the future, or what, if this is someone from the past, they would like to repair the situation and build toward going forward. So a lot of priority and precedence and importance that they are putting on this, an important conversation, an important series of steps. So what may seem like delays or lagging, it's almost just kind of like over planning, over strategizing in some manner, wanting to make sure that they come forth correctly, that they present themselves in the right energy and at the right time for forward steps to be taken very consistently in the direction of positive change for you in the situation. They also say, I think of you every day. That is how much I love you. So you're definitely on this person's mind very actively. A lot of memories here, a lot of nostalgia. If this is someone from the past, they are getting a lot of signs and reminders, a lot of things happening in the dream space where their attention keeps being brought back to a wrong turn that was made by allowing you to slip through their fingers or choosing to walk away from this situation. They have not been able to successfully move forward with their life. As much as they may be presenting that they are very happy in their circumstances, they are constantly reminded of you. They're presenting one exterior, kind of the mask, the illusion. Inside, it's a very different story as far as what they're thinking of, what they're yearning for, and also what they're needing to confront at this point in time in order to raise that vibration, become that version of themselves that is able to facilitate change in this situation. If this is somebody you're currently dealing with, again, you're heavily on their mind. This connection, however that exists between the two of you right now, and what they'd like that to develop into in the future, is a central focus. There's a lot of planning going on behind the scenes, a lot of back and forth, a lot of kind of debating with themselves, fighting their fear, kind of weighing in both the head and the heart. It's almost bringing forth like a discussion or a quorum that is taking place, and they're almost like overthinking the matter, which is creating like delays, which can tie into the idea of like thanking you for being patient, that there's a lot more they want to express. There's a lot more that they want to develop into, but they want to be very certain that they are ready, that this situation is right, that whatever they open up towards, that they are coming to you in a correct energy, that they're able to follow through on promises that they make, rather than kind of overextending themselves, leaping too soon into the situation. And especially if there are, kind of like taboo aspects or things that are complications as far as like details in their life, in your life, kind of other just outside circumstances or the perception of these things. There's a lot that they need to think about. They're wanting to make sure that kind of there's no stone left unturned, that they have these sort of scenarios sort of played out in their mind, how they're going to respond to these things, how they may need to fight for the connection, how they may need to kind of break free from tradition or from other things that are sort of like holding them back. So as much as it may be kind of stagnant, still, radio silence, they're giving very little indication inside, and maybe even like quietly in terms of research, planning, things to do with finances. Maybe lawyers are involved, research about like having to relocate, just all these different things. They may be consulting experts, consulting like spiritual authorities, spiritual figures, getting some kind of counseling. If they're in therapy or counseling, this would definitely be somebody that's addressed this situation to the counselor, to the therapist, maybe talking to trusted friends or, a particular family member who they really respect, something where they're trying to just get these different opinions of like what to do, what's the right course of action, because there's almost like the tangible version of themselves, the practical version, their mundane reality, and then there's where their heart is calling them to explore this connection, to invest further, to kind of break away from whatever is holding them back, whatever has kind of outlived its utility, is past its expiration date, whether this is ideas, connections, circumstances, and to move forth toward this very unique energy, toward where they are, undeniably compelled, and yet there, are these kind of like 3D concerns that are sort of like thwarting the actualization of the 5D potential between the two of you in the material plane at this time. They also say you make me happy. So you do bring them a lot of joy, thoughts of a future with you, sustain them during, periods of time where you're not speaking with one another. You represent a horizon of possibility, and it feels like after having intersected with you, whether this is someone you're currently dealing with or someone from the past, they've been unable to kind of successfully sort of melt back into the life or the reality that they were living prior to meeting you. If this is someone who has detached and tried to move on, they have been unsuccessful in that endeavor. Their mind and their heart keeps coming back to you. Again, this is pedestal energy right here, comparing others to you, even if they haven't been in other connections. This is kind of like going back over in their mind and sort of thinking of their experiences in love and partnership prior to this event of you coming into their reality, and they're really seeing nobody holds a candle to you. This is very exceptional energy. There's a lot of joy and freedom and fullness that they feel in your presence. A lot of past life energy here. Deep soul connection energy here. You really activate this person to dream and imagine and envision and want to move toward a different kind of future for themselves. All of that can be very intimidating. This is like big change, big conversation energy. And so a bit of kind of fear of like, am I ready for this? Am I ready to take that leap of faith? Am I ready to take things to the next level? Am I ready to reemerge out of the silence, to do things right this time, to get things back on track, to build rather than continue to kind of just circle around in the vibration that had been the case or had been experienced previously. So despite appearances, you do represent a happy place for this person, and they hold you in a very precious place within, whether this is someone you're dealing with currently or, again, past person. They also say it's so hard to express my feelings. So someone who's definitely very logical, very practically minded, thoughts, feelings, and fears may not be part of their love language. So they could be struggling to try and find the words to really put to the conversations that need to take place. A lot of rehearsing, playing these things out. Maybe even somebody who's like drafting communications, text messages or emails, deleting them at the last minute, a little bit fearful to kind of knock on that door, cross that bridge of silence, open up those lines of communication again. Or if this is somebody that you're dealing with, again, a lot of considerations, a lot of love that they have for you, but also a lot of fears and a lot of sort of outward projection as well that they don't know how to express. They don't know how to tell you just how much you mean to them. And they also don't know really how to, express kind of the fear of leaping too soon into this connection, the fear that maybe this is all just kind of fantasy or a feeling, and in practicality, there's not much basis for the two of you to build upon. This can talk about like difficult conversations that they may need to have with other people in their lives that in some way are kind of barriers or wedges to the actualization of this connection. This can talk about, wanting the world to know that the two of you are together, that they love you. This can talk about, becoming very public about that. Maybe there's something about your connection that's a bit that they would consider, to be a bit kind of out of the ordinary, kind of like an opposites attract, something that might be kind of questionable, something that, the two of you would be judged in some way for that. And so it's a lot of fear that's holding them back from moving in the direction of these profound feelings that they have for you. They also say you were my best friend. So someone from the past definitely has not been able to replace you. They're missing the intimacy. They're missing the conversations. They're missing just being in your energetic presence. No one can hold a candle to you, and you still represent the epitome of love in a lot of ways, and you really represent the full package. This is like love and friendship all wrapped up into one. If this is someone you're currently dealing with, they again may be most comfortable trying to really establish like a firm foundation of friendship between the two of you, in the hopes that no matter what turbulence you might be experiencing currently or even in the future in terms of emotions, in terms of just the necessary ebbs and flows of life, they're wanting to make sure that there's something to fall back on in hard times. That may have really been an issue for them in connections they were in the past that fell apart, is it was all just passion based. It was all just emotional. There was a lack of like connectedness. There was a lack of like shared experience. It was a faulty foundation. This is someone who is not wanting to kind of risk this situation being exposed to that. This may be someone who's hesitant to open their heart up to love again, not wanting to be hurt, not wanting things to fall apart in the same way that they had, and wanting to just make sure that you have this kind of like loyalty and love to one another on a mundane aspect, on a mundane layer, before they allow themselves to fully sort of immerse in the possibilities of what romantically can develop between the two of you in the future. And they also say, I'm trying to become the best version of myself. So definitely someone from the past is trying to cut away from all which no longer serves them. Also current person trying to move beyond limiting belief systems, fears, trying to kind of like match your vibration, to have something to really give and to really provide, so that there's reciprocity in this connection rather than things being lopsided or one-sided, which is definitely a recipe for, things falling apart in the future. They're wanting to avoid that at all costs. They're wanting to really present to you a version that makes you feel safe and secure in their presence, makes you assured of their commitment or their desire to recommit to you in the future. So although things may be kind of like slow between the two of you, it's kind of like radio silence. This is even someone who may just be kind of presenting that they're completely unbothered by the way the situation is between the two of you. If there's stagnation or no contact, that couldn't be further from the truth. There's a lot happening in terms of like internal alchemy, this internal process of transformation, readying themselves, readying their life, readying the emotional body, learning these tools of how to express their feelings, both positive and negative, so that the two of you are able to navigate through some troubled waters you experienced in the past in the interest of a new future, or so that they come forth equipped with the tools to very readily move with you through whatever challenges you may face in the future, independently or together as a couple. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got Q, G, D, I, W, Z, M, T, K, V, N, and X. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 4. You chose the Celestite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know right now? Okay, and they say, I am starting to see how you are my light. So, very inspired by you, by the way you love, how you move through the world, your authenticity. This is definitely somebody who is seeing you as kind of like the yin to their yang, or the yang to their yin, rather, since we're talking about this light energy right here. They may have very much been drawn to you in the past, like a moth to a flame, and then very intimidated by kind of all the obstructions within them that stood in the way of really believing and becoming that love which they saw mirrored within you, kind of running from their own personal darkness and perhaps projecting that as some kind of deficiency or flaw within you. This is somebody who's come to a place of illumination, perhaps even recognizing you as a counterpart or a twin flame, if this is a reality they had run from in the past. So that all can apply for a no contact situation. If this is somebody that you are currently dealing with, someone that's currently in your light, they are again very drawn to you, very magnetized to you, very much in awe of you. You bring a lot of joy, a lot of light, a lot of clarity to them, to their world, to their reality. It feels like somebody who may have really almost be very overwhelmed by the fact that they thought they had an idea of what love was, what that should feel like, what that would look like, how that would manifest for them. And you defy all of that in some manner. You're like next level. The feelings that they have, this feeling that they get when they're around you, when they think about you, in the times that you are away from one another, all of this is very much like an enlivened energy, an inspirational energy. Something's been activated within them that is causing them to redefine the parameters they had placed upon love and connections, maybe even barricades or barriers or boundaries they had placed upon this situation, needing to really kind of bide their time, observe, take things slowly. And there's definitely a lot that's coming to light, a lot of clarity that they're getting as far as this connection, exploring these feelings further, investing further in this situation, and exploring what can develop between the two of you is a worthwhile endeavor. They also say the sound of your voice lingers in my mind. So a person from the past is reflecting upon conversations that you've had, words that were spoken that at one point in time may have fallen on deaf ears. These now ring true, words of wisdom that they are leaning back upon. They may be going through a lot of personal change and transformation, wanting to reach out and express this to you, wanting to discuss with you what they have learned in the separation, almost like telling you you were right, or you may have said I love you, or expressed some kind of like gestures or romantic feelings of love toward them that were rejected, or that they just didn't respond to, they just brushed off, or even altogether denied. There's a lot of regret about that as far as words that they have spoken. A desire to hear your voice again, to speak to you again. They may even have voicemails saved, voice clips saved. Maybe you have some kind of channel or social media presence. You put out videos on YouTube, for example. This can definitely be somebody who is a subscriber, who's listening to these things, following along with what you have to say. Maybe some of you are singers. You've got your work out there. They're listening to your songs in some manner. Maybe you recorded a song especially for them, and you doubted that they had it. If maybe they'd thrown it away or discarded it in some manner, and this feels to be the confirmation that they still have that, they still listen to that. They're wishing that they could speak to you once again and kind of hear your voice in real time, rather than having this just be a thing of the past, a thing of memory. If this is a new person that you're dealing with, again, kind of a lot that is illuminated and activated within them through words that are exchanged with you. Maybe the topics that you talk about, the nature of how you know one another. If this is something that's like a professional connection, someone you know through school, maybe even just a friend, there's a sense of, as you're talking about very mundane things, there's something within them which is really kind of like stirred and activated on the emotional level. They're wanting to deepen those conversations, the nature of what you talk about. They're wanting to express feelings that they may have held back at this point in time. They're wanting to ask you out, for some of you that have not entered into that kind of like romantic dynamic with one another. They also see you as very wise, very knowledgeable. The conversations, the interactions with you, it adds to a lot of the measure of their life, of their reality. You help them see the world from a different perspective. This is someone who's very much in love with your mind, in love with the way that you view things, your ideas, your values, your concepts, your way of describing things, your use of language. Maybe some of you are writers even, and so your voice, as it translates in that capacity, it's something that they're very drawn into, very much resonates at the soul level. Words that you speak, this is almost somebody who, when they're hearing your voice, when they're talking to you, they're not just hearing it with their ears, they're feeling it like in their heart chakra. They're feeling it at a soul level. You have awakened something within them, this ancient familiarity, definitely like a past life connection between the two of you. Or just the things you talk about, a frequency that you hold, this light that you are. It's something which really activates them to kind of expand their perceptions, to really rise up out of the version of themselves that they had been up to this point in time, or that they had viewed themselves as, the role that they had typically played in partnerships or romances. They may also be a little bit tongue-tied when they are around you, a lot of nervousness that could be very uncharacteristic for them, just this very visceral interaction of something as simple as just kind of like talking about the weather with you. It spurs all kinds of like change and activation within this person that is really making them curious. It's drawing them closer in to want to exchange with you on a deeper level, talk about a lot more than you have up to this point in time. They also say this connection scares me sometimes because it is so intense. So these energies definitely apply for current person or past person. The intensity of this, that idea of like activation, soul truth, soul knowing, all of that could have been what caused this person to run, ghost, or block. It feels like in the aftermath of all of that, they've kind of turned a page in a way. They're longing for closeness. They're wanting to be drawn back in towards you. This may be the result of work that you've put in to heal, to kind of pick up the pieces from the situation of the past, raise that vibration. Definitely still an energetic cord between the two of you where your healing and ascension triggers something within them. It kind of like rings a bell for them that change is possible. It causes them to want to emulate that vibration. They may have recently become very curious, looked you up, sought you out, having felt that change and that shift within you, and maybe seeing you again, hearing your voice again, tapping into those memories and experiences in a more direct level, perhaps for the first time in a while. It's reawakened something within them. It's re-sparked that flame within them. This is someone who's wanting to reinvest, to give more, to be more, to show up as more of themselves, more authentic, more healed, more open, more emotional than they had in the past. And yet it requires change on their part. So they're both drawn in and afraid of this kind of like outside of the box version of them, this unknown person, kind of having their preconceived notions of love and partnership obliterated so that a new definition can be experienced, can be made in real time through the dynamic between the two of you. This both intrigues them and frightens them. The same kind of energy, if this is somebody currently you're dealing with, they're very drawn into you, but they understand that to link their life with yours, to evolve and to participate and to dive more deeply into this connection, this isn't just an ordinary love. This is something that is going to be very changing for the two of you on a soul level. It is not a journey for the faint of heart. This is definitely, this energy is giving like twin flame vibes right here. So this can be something that, just this kind of like push-pull dynamic, being very like yearning for this change and this kind of like next level love, and yet very fearful of kind of releasing that ego mind, that preconceived notion, that vibration of who they were before. Definitely that applies to like current person and past person. They're both drawn very much towards you, and at the same time both very terrified of kind of losing parts of themselves by entering into a partnership more deeply with you, melding with you, merging with you in some manner. Kind of what exists on the other side of that? What will they become? Afraid of unearthing that authenticity within that you represent in a lot of ways, and just how you move through the world, the frequency that you hold. It's very inspirational to them, and yet at the same time brings up a lot of fears of change as well that may be causing them to kind of like hold back or kind of put on the brakes in this situation or remain at a distance. They also say, I'm afraid to tell you the truth. please just listen to what I have to say. So if this is for a current person, it feels like they have very deep and intense feelings for you, but also a lot of fears. It's kind of equally balanced in both of those capacities. And so there is fear of opening up to you about the fears. There is fear about expressing their love and being rejected. There's this urge to want to open the lines of conversation to something more, to discuss long-term plans and intentions that they have. But there's also a deep fear of rejection, that they might not be what you're looking for, that to see this vulnerable side of them, the fearful side of them, the wounded side of them, it may make you look at them as less. The love that you hold in your eyes for them, the affection, that electricity, there's a fear of talking about this may in some way burst this bubble of magic, and so they're holding back at this point in time from speaking some kind of truth or having some kind of conversation with you. If this is for a person from your past, this can talk about like an apology that's owed, being very afraid to open those lines of conversation again, very afraid still of that energy of change, of like knocking on that door and diving headfirst into repairing the situation. If that's something that would be possible, if that's something that you would even entertain, there's a lot of fear and unknowing. Would you reject them? Is it too little too late? Has too much damage been done? But then on the other side, also fear about, what if it's not too little too late? Back then to the start of that fear of change, the fear of the intensity and kind of this next level energy between the two of you. That fear very much remains, that's part of that invitation to open this door, to invest in this connection. It requires both of you to ascend to a different version of yourselves vibrationally than you have been. It's an invitation to experience a different kind of love and partnership. The necessity of that is also a willingness to kind of like leave behind preconceived notions. Wounds and ideas and experiences of love have no place in what is possible in this situation between the two of you. And so there's a bit of kind of like clinging to the past, sort of wanting to have their cake and eat it too, in a sense, being very drawn towards you and wanting to kind of explore and lean into the energies of reconciliation, to give this love a chance again, or perhaps for the first time, but at the same time, a lot of fear as far as what will be required of them, what sacrifices need to be made internally or in their life, or just again in terms of like belief systems and ideas, in order to be in this open space, to be able to be shown and experience in a different way what love truly is, or what it can be, through the circumstances between the two of you in this connection. They also say, I am afraid to love because I have been hurt in the past. So clinging to some woundedness, whether this is the past person or somebody you're currently dealing with. They are not wanting to be hurt in love again. They're understanding that this connection, the potential here, has the ability to transform and heal a lot of those wounds. They may be clinging to that kind of like wounded warrior mentality, very afraid to let go of that stance where they've been pessimistic about love, jaded about love, very hesitant to be almost proven wrong, that not all love needs to hurt, not all love and connection needs to end in disappointment. This may have been a trend or a tendency for them, or just one particular instance of heartbreak that has almost been deified within them. It has almost been a standard by which they have judged all other potential connections, until you came along and provided to them vibrationally a different way of being. So kind of a battle within themselves from what they've known and experienced in partnership prior to this situation, and what they're being invited to kind of grow into and step into in this situation. So a bit of kind of like guardedness, a bit of standoffishness, maybe even kind of like lashing out in the past, or running from this situation because they weren't prepared to almost talk about or face those fears. They didn't want to show you that vulnerable side of themselves. So it was easier to just sort of push you away. It was easier to present themselves as the bad guy or the bad girl, rather than showing you that face of the hurt individual, the fearful individual inside. All of that just being kind of a mask or a ruse from this deep woundedness that they've been holding within for quite some time, but that they see and recognize that what exists vibrationally between the two of you, the potential of what could develop between both of you, could prove that wrong. It could eliminate the necessity of them to hold on to that belief, hold on to that wound, hold on to that kind of experience. You provide some kind of healing. This connection has a lot of nurturing energies to it. So again, whether this is past person or current person, there's a desire to partake in the medicine of this connection, but at the same time, a lot of hesitation as far as what that will look like, an unfamiliarity with a healed and restored version of themselves that they may not have known for quite some time. There's a feeling of levity and joy that they experience when they think about you, or when they're in your presence, when they hear your voice. You activate and you speak to them at the soul level, and it's something that they yearn to experience more of, to soak in, to saturate themselves in. And there's also this kind of fear of almost somebody who may feel that they only bring chaos or turmoil to connections, not wanting to dim or diminish your light in some way. And this fear has by consequence almost like done that in a sense, or they're feeling that it's kind of having that adverse effect. They're trying to protect you from themselves, and at the same time inflicting kind of that worst face of themselves upon you in the situation. So somebody who's definitely kind of pulled in both directions within themselves, wanting to take a chance, wanting to experience and really partake in the gift that this situation has to offer, but at the same time almost reserving or resigning themselves to just this sense of like brokenness or pessimism as far as connections are concerned. So it's definitely an internal hurdle that they're needing to move beyond, or just kind of discard, in order to create that free passageway between the two of you. And they also say, I didn't mean to hurt you. So again, somebody who, whether this is the current person holding back, not expressing their feelings, moving very slowly, not taking that next step, not making that first move, giving you mixed signals, or if this is someone from the past that again pushed you away, maybe was very cruel with their words, ghosted or blocked. It is really the full embodiment of hurt people. They were acting from a very wounded space, and while it is not an excuse, it is an explanation. This really feels to be a message from the higher self, letting you know that this is not due to any deficiency within you. This is some pattern of wounding within themselves, of kind of keeping themselves at a distance from wish fulfillment. Somebody who may have a tendency to self-sabotage, or has again strongly identified with the role of being very much wounded, a work in progress, someone who feels that they only just kind of sabotage connection. So better to kind of tear it apart early than suffer the consequences of it falling apart on its own later on, kind of an energy. So a lot of self-healing, a lot of self-compassion and self-forgiveness that it feels like this person is really struggling with. A lot of internal barriers, and it feels like karmic patterns in the form of just like their past experiences in love, or some kind of incidents of rejection or heartbreak that has a lot of power in their current reality, much more than it feels like they would like to consciously give credit for. This feels like somebody who's almost stuck on the pain that an ex inflicted, even though they have no desire to get back with that ex. They've closed that door, and yet that pain is very visceral. It remains. That person from the past still has a stronghold, because it has contorted in some way. It's created a distortion within this individual as far as what they believe is possible in love in the future, because they were shown a very twisted version of that in their past, something that was very hurtful, was very damaging in a lot of ways, and it feels to be a process of kind of untethering themselves from that knot, learning to trust again, learning to lean into this light where they are beckoned, allowing themselves to be transformed, to release that version of themselves that had sustained such wounding, so that with optimism they are able to move forth into the possibility of a fresh start or newness, if this is someone you haven't experienced a connection with yet, or if it's still a relatively new connection. It's like an unwritten future between the two of you that doesn't need to look anything like their past, and yet they're still kind of comparing it by that lens of things that went wrong in their romantic history. They also say I messed up big time. So definitely current person recognizes that they've dropped the ball on at least one occasion. They feel that they should have been more clear to you about their hesitations, or maybe just kind of tactics that have come up to sort of push you away, to create distance, create excuses if they've gone a little bit cold, or they're just not evolving the situation at a very quick way. They are, this is weighing very heavily upon them. They have a lot of regrets about that, for not being more clear to you. It feels like someone who doesn't even really know how to articulate these things within themselves. A lot of this is very unconscious wounding. It's just very fear-based, and they haven't really allowed themselves to explore kind of what that means, what they're so afraid of. But they are very aware of something that, maybe just sensing your disappointment, sensing you kind of pulling back your energy, sensing the awkwardness, sensing that there's an opportunity here for something different, and they're not acting upon that, or they're hesitating in that manner. If this is someone from the past, again, they are, wanting to come back towards you, but very afraid of rejection, very afraid that it's too little too late, too much damage has been done, still kind of clinging to that idea, sort of the self-fulfilling prophecy of that they only destroy connections. They are only a corrosive force. They are only able to corrupt beautiful connections and loving energies in some manner, because that had been the case, or someone had made them believe that from their personal history. And so it's something where this is not lost to them, kind of their role in all of this and how things went sideways in this situation. But they don't really feel to be at a place yet of knowing what to say. They're still in this process of trying to formulate and trying to really put to words what they're so fearful of within themselves, and also what they need to kind of say and provide and prove in order to try and restore the connection with you. They also say, I'm afraid to reach out and call you. So another confirmation of that. Somebody who wants to speak some kind of truth, whether this is current person or person from the past. But they're getting I'm getting all tongue-tied in this particular group, and that feels to be the nature of what's going on. They're wrapped up in all kinds of knots. They're leaning into fear. They're leaning into possibility. There's definitely an activation which has taken place. There's a part of them at the soul level which is screaming at them to move towards you, to invest in this connection, explore the potential, do what they must in order to course correct, to try and clean up the mess from the past in this situation. They're yearning to do that. They want to have the conversation, the heart-to-heart discussion, to reveal their feelings and to reveal their fears, and yet they're all tied up as far as how to do that in some way. There's a lot of fear that holds them back. Fear of the past repeating itself, fear of, kind of like not being able to sustain or really follow through on promises made, fear of you seeing this vulnerable side of them and loving them less, being less attracted to them, fear of rejection, fear of, acceptance, fear of the connection developing to the next level, and them, again, needing to sort of release that bias that they may have had about the nature of love and partnerships and romances, like wanting to be proven wrong and very afraid to be proven wrong at the same point in time, because then what exists? Very afraid of this kind of restored and very nurtured version of themselves that they imagine is possible through cooperating with these energies and kind of linking up with you and merging and creating a new future together. There's a yearning for that. They want that, and yet it's an unknown. It's something they've never known of love before. It's a teaching tool of a different way love can be, and there's a curiosity, but also a hesitation of once they open that door, there's no turning back. And they also say, I love you. So it's a beautiful way to end this reading for you, Group 4. This is the long and short of it. They do love you, despite everything that has happened, despite what they haven't said. This is that core truth that is so terrifying to them, that has a weight and a gravity, those words that it feels like mean something more to them than it has ever meant before. This is very terrifying that finally love has arrived, or a different version of love than they have known previously. They are wanting to explore this. They are wanting to fill your cup of love with an equitable cup of love from their part. But again, wrapped up in all of these kind of like knots, tethers to the past, versions of themselves, distortions within that they're really needing to like liberate themselves from in order to bring forth that loving energy, those words of love, that apology, that desire for reconciliation, whatever that looks like for your circumstances in this situation. But at the end of the day, what they hold in their heart for you is love. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got I, L, F, C, N, E, Y, P, V, K, and H. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.